football in a season and a half. Look at that smirk. Cowherd off camera just grinning ear to ear. Anyway, Brock is looking to build on that momentum as he enters year 3. The Niners roster's pretty good once again. And Niners quarterback Brock Purdy says he wants to lock into that killer instinct this year. With as good of a team that we have, I want to get to that point where we get to the third quarter. There's a couple of drives that are crucial. I'm on top of my stuff. It's having that Tom Brady kind of feeling late in the game. It's always felt like Tom was just going to take over and not make it close. I feel like I can get to that. And I still believe, Colin, that Brock Purdy is a young Brady. And I'm not saying he's going to have the career of Brady, but look at the Brady early years. He was a game manager. Doesn't make mistakes, wins a crap ton of games, is in the mix for the Super Bowl every year. That's what Tom Brady was in New England. And Brock Purdy's going to be that dude.
Tom is bigger, better arm, better athlete.
Wait a minute. No, timeout.
Drafted.
I'm not going to let you get better athlete. Brady ran the slowest 40 time of any quarterback in the history of the combine. So he's not a better athlete than Brock Purdy. Continue.
Bigger, stronger, better arm. I mean, Brady's 6'5.5".
Ooh.
I don't like being marginalized as a Brock Purdy hater.
You are. I mean, let's be real.
But I mean, even in these videos, you can barely see him behind that offensive line.
You know what? You could see him celebrating in the end zone with Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey.
All right.
Final story is, this one's tough. Jason Tatum. Coach's decision did not play in the win over Serbia. Kerr explained that with the matchups in the game, Tatum ended up being the odd man out. Tatum is expected to play a big role going forward, especially against South Sudan Wednesday. I'll just add, for all the people saying, oh, well, this proves Tatum's not great. Like, those people are dumb. He basically didn't play because LeBron James, the greatest player in basketball history, is the starter. And then they come off the bench with the greatest scorer in USA basketball history ever in Kevin Durant. I don't think it's that big of a deal that Tatum didn't play. Honestly.
Steve Kerr apologized
He did.
for.
I mean, it looks bad when a 3-time All-NBA first-team guy doesn't play. But he had his rotation. Listen, Serbia had bigs and guards. They didn't have a lot of wings. Now, South Sudan doesn't have a lot of bigs. I think the real question is, does Joel Embiid just, hey, my knee's flaring up, I'm going to sit the South Sudan game? They won't need him. South Sudan does not have bigs that dominate. They need wings and AD and Bam.
It's one thing for Jason Tatum not to explode, to not get a minute when Derek White plays 16 minutes, when Drew Holiday is playing 20 minutes and he can't get.
Well, that looks bad when Tatum led the Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists in the postseason. But listen, sometimes, there's an hour goes by on the show where I don't get to talk because you're ball hogging it. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm like, that's a good take, Cowherd. All right, let's go. I'm cheering you on. I got to be a good teammate, just like Jason Tatum was yesterday.
Well, I am our LeBron. Fair enough.
I am a first-team All-NBA performer as well.
I don't know. I think not playing him at all is weird. I'm watching him on the bench thinking, you're not going to get him in at all?
Okay. Do you want me to get sinister?
All right.
Is Eric Spoelstra an assistant coach on the team?
Yes.
The Miami Heat have maybe a reckoning coming with Jimmy Butler. We're seeing Jaylen Brown getting in an argumentative issue with Grant Hill and Team USA. Jaylen Brown starting to, it feels like, break away from the Celtics a little. He's not like, Jaylen Brown, hey, let's hug it out. And now Tatum, is he going to be ticked off this? Is Spoelstra planting the seed in Kerr? Hey, let's sit Tatum. It's not a good matchup. And Kerr's like, oh, good idea. And Spoelstra and the Heat are messing with the Celtics, who, I mean, if you're Jason Tatum and you see Derek White and Drew Holiday.
Do I really believe at the Olympics, Eric Spoelstra is going to take an harsh angle to disrupt the flow of the chemistry? No.
Of the Celtics?
That's one of your worst takes.
Okay.
It's kind of, if you're going to screw with anything, you do it like on a Tuesday night playing in Orlando.
That won't have an impact. Not at all. I'm just telling you.
I'll say it again. So what does Tatum do? He doesn't shoot like Durant, Derek White. Okay, he doesn't lead like LeBron. He doesn't defend like AD or Bam or Drew Holiday. So, there's not a trait he has that is he's not as athletic as Ant. So, all these other guys have a trait where you've got to play them.
But those guys are guards. Ant, Holiday, White.
Durant's
they played 3-guard lineups all yesterday. 3 guards on the court at all times. So, there's not a lot of room for Tatum. That will not happen again. I think this is a massive overreaction.
Multiple positions.
Great athlete, cocky. Sounds like somebody I know.
You.
Listen, come on. We're having fun. All right, let's get started with, we love to talk about your favorite players. Bo Nix. He was in the studio in the run-up to the draft. He's in a big quarterback competition in Denver with Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham. Still unknown who's going to start for Denver week 1. Well, Bo Nix was asked at camp if he'd accept being the backup in his rookie season, and what a response he had.
Well, I don't know if I have a choice on that one, if I accept it or not. If I want to stick around, I better accept it. But I also don't necessarily want to become complacent and say, you know what, it's my rookie year. I'm okay with sitting back and hanging out and learning. They'll play me when I'm ready, and I'm going to do my best to get ready.
Yeah, it's not his call, but I think he'll start.
I would be stunned if they started Zach Wilson.
Well,
now, Stidham has an edge. He was in the system last year with Peyton, knows it a little better.
So let's be fair to both Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson. They're not as good as many perceived. But could I argue they didn't have the right coach? They didn't have the right offensive line. They didn't have the right environment. So Sam Darnold, by the way, now is starting for an offensive coach in a wonderfully gifted Viking offense. Now we can make our final conclusion. Kyle Shanahan liked him, and all of a sudden, isn't it interesting? Whereas 2 offensive coaches have really liked Sam Darnold. Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell, who we love. Sean Payton likes Zach Wilson. And so he moves closer to home. So I'm just saying, environment matters. I had this discussion with John Middlecoff, my buddy, on my podcast. And I said this. If Jordan Love went to the Jaguars or went to Cleveland, he'd be a bust. Because he was not ready to play for 2 years. And in Green Bay, after 3 years of sitting with a great coach, he struggled in his first 6 starts. This league is overwhelmingly for quarterbacks situational. Now, if you're as good as Caleb Williams, maybe not, or if you're as good as Josh Allen or Andrew Luck, but I would, or maybe Mahomes, but I would argue that for most talented quarterbacks, first-round quarterbacks, it's situational. You don't think Lamar Jackson has benefited from that staff, that owner, that team, and that O-line and run game? So my take is Bo Nix got a break. J.J. McCarthy got a break. They got offensive coaches who will absolutely elevate quarterbacks with clear limitations.
I would agree with everything you said. Now, the only problem is Caleb Williams did not get an offensive coach, and that guy could get run out of town. You said situational. Like, if Eberflus, they win 7 games. They fire Eberflus, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new system. Like, that's going to be tough for Caleb Williams.
No, I do think he's probably in a short list of guys who will just burst through it. He'll just figure it out. But I like C.J. Stroud.
Look at Trevor Lawrence. He had it was rough, rocky start.
Oh, no, bad.
And now they've turned it around. But has he broken through?
No, if he's a great example. Trevor Lawrence gets drafted by the Packers. Don't you think he's more refined at this point?
Well,
he wouldn't have a giveaway year with Urban Meyer. You're not giving it away.
Well, the Packers never draft first overall.
No. But I'm saying is, if he would have landed there, do you think we would still be Justin Herbert? If he goes to Green Bay, do you think we're still like, well, he doesn't win enough?
What is this, his 3rd coach already?
Yeah. So I mean, I think outside of a handful of Andrew Lucks and John Elways, this stuff is all situational with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If you're a great running, Adrian Peterson could have gone anywhere. Saquon Barkley's been successful with the Giants' terrible O-line. Good corner, good receiver. Quarterback is situational.
All right, well, now let's go to a quarterback who doesn't need a great situation. He's just elite, and that's Brock Purdy. He played some fantastic football in a season and a half. Look at that smirk. Cowherd off camera, just grinning year to year. Anyway, Brock is looking to build on that momentum as he enters year 3. The Niners roster's pretty good, once again. And Niners quarterback Brock Purdy says he wants to lock into that killer instinct this year. With as good of a team that we have, I want to get to that point where we get to the 3rd quarter. There's a couple of drives that are crucial. I'm on top of my stuff. It's having that Tom Brady kind of feeling late in the game. It's always felt like Tom was just going to take over and not make it close. I feel like I can get to that. And I still believe, Colin, that Brock Purdy is a young Brady. And I'm not saying he's going to have the career of Brady, but look at the Brady early years. He was a game manager, doesn't make mistakes, wins a crap ton of games, is in the mix for the Super Bowl every year. That's what Tom Brady was in New England. And Brock Purdy's going to be that dude.
Tom is bigger, better arm, better athlete.
Wait a minute. No,
was
timeout.
drafted.
I'm not going to let you get better athlete. Brady ran the slowest 40 time of any quarterback in the history of the combine. So he's not a better athlete than Brock Purdy. Continue.
Bigger, stronger, better arm. I mean, Brady's 6'5.5".